G'day legends, I hope that you're doing really well. Now, firstly, I want to thank you for all the positive comments I've had, mainly on the vlog I had talking about my voice coming back, and it really did mean a lot to me. And maybe after this war, as all these social media people like myself have made their sort of living and what they do about this conflict, I'll then move into ASMR, YouTube, and become an uwu girl. Today we're going to talk about some bits of the war, and then of course we'll have a look over the maps at some big changes we've seen in the last really 36 hours, and Ukraine making a lot of ground, particularly in the south. Now, there's been another missile attack on Dnipro, which has hit a high-rise building and the security service of Ukraine building, that is being the SBU, and this was confirmed by President Zelensky. Now, we have no idea really yet about the casualties, and we'll never truly know the extent of this, being, of course, the security services and the civilian CAS as well. We're still waiting on numbers of that. But let's have a look over some of this. So, of course, this is the tweet from President Zelensky, as well as he made a Telegram post here, and that was verbatim what I read off there. This is then the high-rise building that was hit here by this missile as well. I can't show the video here because for some reason they just hate that. This is some footage of it being struck as well. Now, this explosion, many will say, is far bigger than an air defense missile, which a lot of people point to directly as something's hit. It was a failed air defense missile. That 100% has happened, but what we can judge off is really the size of the explosion. So with these things, so that is there. Now, this is the aftermath of the SBU building here. Now, how do we know that this is then the SBU building? I ask you to line up these together. So this is of Google Maps of the SBU building here, and you can see that the windows are the same as well as the street, and that is located on Google Maps here. So this is the photograph I had up. Sorry, I can't load that. In this region where the pin drop is in Dnipro here. So we don't really know the full extent of the casualties there, but we do know that those strikes had hit in the center of Dnipro. And as we know, Russia is not having the success getting missiles through the new air defense that was given to Ukraine really in the capital of Kyiv, but Russia are striking in other cities where they are having more missiles go through than the air defense. So Ukraine has made large gains in the south, but from the videos, the photos that have come out, at a huge cost. Now, it's not new information to anyone that to break through defensive areas and lines, that huge losses are inevitable. But we do need to remember that each inch of land, whether in the favour of Ukraine or Russia, whether the line moves in the red or the blue, that every inch of this is being fought with young men's blood. People have families and friends, everything, and that this has become a war of attrition. Now, drone footage has come out showing many Ukrainian vehicles being lost in these assaults. Some pro-Ukrainian accounts have stated up to 28 vehicles lost in the Robotyne direction. Now, that number we're really unsure of, but there is absolutely some horrifying footage of these vehicles out in the open, stationary, and being successfully targeted both by mines and then artillery and ATGM. And that video you can find on my Telegram or on Twitter or anywhere you get some stuff that's not, YouTube. Anyway, I have a mechanised infantry background and was at least a heavy weapons specialist, and this definitely raises concerns seeing some of this footage over the movements and the doctrine being used. Stationary vehicles in the open, in minefields where they have, so much artillery, that raises a lot of questions and a lot of concerns right there when we know mines are absolutely everywhere. Now, there is no real good way to traverse bloody minefields. I would never give you a suggestion on that. But artillery, the last thing you want to do is be stopped in the open. So we're not really sure what happened there. We have a picture of a few minutes. We don't have the picture of hours before that. We have no idea. But there are a lot of people calling out what is happening with some of this. But we have seen Ukraine have a lot of success in the last couple of days. So let's have a look over that, and we will talk about it as we go. Let's start down here. So the deep state map hasn't really updated that recently, so this may be a little bit behind, but we'll use the ISW, Suruk, and as well as Rybar too. So we'll do the best we can. So this area in Lubkovi, this hasn't really moved over the past couple of days. Where we've seen the big changes is, of course, to the south of Orokhiv, Robotyny, and Starmorsky up here. So that what we'll do first is we'll talk about to the south of Orokhiv. Of course, the black lines are representing the built-up fortifications, the Russian fortification in here. So, of course, Robotyny here. So let's scroll back to the 26th, 27th, 28th, and we don't know for the 29th here in Australia. We don't know the extent of what has happened, but we can see that Ukraine has made it to the edge of some of these main defensive linking works in here and has passed some other defensive lines, has taken a large amount of ground in this region. So let's then jump down onto then the ISW map. And we're seeing a similar picture. So you do see to the east of Robotyny passing some of these defensive works here, or fighting their way through here. So let's compare that to how it looked the other day. So as we spoke about, there wasn't too much movement there, but as we do see that this is going into yellow, being claimed Russian control. So Russia claim they still control this area, but we do know that Ukraine has pushed out and around some of these areas. So Ukraine is pushing to the southeast of Robotyny down from Orokhiv, and they are having successful advances and strikes in and around there. Next, let's look to where we spoke about, where we have seen a lot of success as well. So Starmorsky in here. So if we go back and then this skips forward 48 hours from the 26th to the 28th, we see that Ukraine has had an advance through Starmorsky here. Now, last night, 12 hours ago, there was a lot of argument of was Starmorsky occupied or not. Now, from geolocation, from the footage that's come out, it does look now that Starmorsky is occupied by Ukrainian forces, has been liberated and taken here. Of course, taking over this defensive work here, has moved through onto there. And as well, now that that is taken, Uruzhany here will be very difficult to keep holding from the Russian forces as well. So I do believe we may see either a withdrawal or a push from Ukraine and take Uruzhany as well, maybe in the next few days. Now let's look at how this is looking then, of course, on the ISW map. Now, Uruzhany is still shown in the red. Starmorsky is now shown in the blue. Now this is showing significant change from what we saw the other day. Sadly, the one on the left doesn't show the names of some of the places, but we'll be able to look about where it is. So, of course, Starmorsky sits in around here. Of course, there's Uruzhany, where this peak is still being held around here. Now, there could be definitely a counter-offensive on the counter-offensive that Russia could push back against this, but we don't know who has the momentum. We would say Ukraine has the momentum in this area. So, of course, we're just analysing this as we sit, but Ukraine has taken a big significant chunk in there. Let's have a look at what then the Rybar Russian sources say about this area, because we do know that Rybar has shown more ground taken in this area than sometimes some of the pro-Ukrainian maps have. So this was of the 28th. Now, it is showing, of course, Starmorsky has been liberated by the Ukrainian forces here, and they are also pushing onto Uruzhany as well, that they intend to then jump further down into Starmalivka here as well. So we do know that Rybar is confirming that that is taken there, but of course Novodonetsky, they're still saying on both maps, you can just see it here, is still holding by the Russian forces as well as Uruzhany. But this spike, I think we will see that drop off in the next coming days as well, and that's going to depend on a lot of things, and the weather is definitely one of those factors. Let's have a look at the Suruk maps as well and see how this is showing. Now, of course, same as that, Uruzhany is still in this spire, but that Starmorsky has been taken. So again, it could collapse from there. That I do have footage here as well to show you in Starmorsky. You can see just the level of destruction here, and this is what we see in all these frontline towns, that it's not being liberated by anyone. It's just rubble. It's just been turned to rubble because of then the occupation here. So it has been arrived down here. Now this is from Ukrainian forces as well, and you can just see this hellscape here as the sun sets, I believe, last night, and these guys were talking about killing Russians and taking a number of war trophies as well in that area. So we're going to see more and more of this fierce fighting coming up, and this is something I want to talk about in the beginning, that the real battles I don't even believe we've seen in this war yet. And these are small villages being taken, but where we're going to see these insane large-scale battles at places like Donetsk City, Sevastopol, things like that is going to be insane and is going to be a level of war that this counteroffensive has not really seen yet. And to be honest, any offensive has not seen yet. Taking back Mariupol, Donetsk, places like this, Luhansk, it's going to be an uphill battle fight, absolutely. Now, so then let's go to Bakhmut, where I am, and let's see what has changed here. So what we are seeing is that Russia made some small advance to the northwest of Klishkivka, but Ukraine made some advance as well to the south of Andrivka, near Kurdimivka as well. So we see some small changes there. I don't think anything too dramatic, but we do know that this front line is fluid, that things are changing here and could change very rapidly. Like I always say, offensives is like bankruptcy. It starts slow, trickling away, and then it can all collapse at once. So let's then have a look at Bakhmut on the deeps, on the ISW, and see what this is showing between 2 days ago and today, with some of those small advances around Klishkivka and Rivka as well. Now, to my eye, I don't think that this is showing much of a change here. It's not as easy to see small changes on the ISW as it is on then the deep state. But I think in the north and the south and the centre, it isn't showing too much of a difference, but we may start seeing more changes as things progress from there. Now, what someone always does like me to have it do is have a look at where the defensive lines are. And as we know, this area where they've had, I think, the most success is still a fair way from these defensive works. That said, it's not that there are not a defensive works in here, it's just where these main works are. But if you see here, there is only a few lines of these defensive works before, it's a fairly open through to Mariupol, Bryansk, where in Robotyne, they're going to have far more of a fight after that. So we're not really sure where they're putting their main effort, but once we see a breakthrough somewhere, that's when we may see more of the challenges, things like that come in. So we're still talking, let's be conservative from here, somewhere about 10 kilometres. That said, we don't know. It could collapse all at once. It could be grinding away, but I do have my doubts about how feasible a grinding war actually is, and just grind inch by inch. I think the more will be sort of a thunder run approach, create a breakthrough and go through from the back there, but we're not really sure how that will go. We do know that the minefields in here have been absolutely hell. Let's go to where we have seen Russia had some gains over the last week, couple of days. Let's go to Kremenna Svatov region. So over the last couple of, if we go back, we saw that Russia did have a large gain of ground, but quickly had some of it cut off, although still holds some here as well. Kremenna doesn't show any major advances out here to Zerchini or towards Liman. So let's have a look at what then the ISW showed. Now, this isn't going to be perfect because, of course, Torsky isn't on this, but it is showing that Russia has claimed more ground in and around here, but between these 2 days isn't showing any significant changes. Let's just go then to the south of where we are looking. We'll zoom out one here, and this is the Svatov region as well, which we're talking about. And let's see if there's been any real change here. And to my eye, no real change to then speak of. Now, let's see if there's any changes being shown up around here. Of course, we have Liman Pershi as well in here. Now, that isn't showing any changes on this map, and I don't have one of the ISW from a few days ago, but this is the region we are talking about. Now, maps does show that Russia has made some more ground in this region. So let's have a look at then the satellite. So this may line up a little bit better here. So we have this star road that crosses here. It is showing Russia have advanced more in this region here, but this isn't being shown on the deep state map. This is the same region then on the ISW map. And I think that the ISW is showing that Russia is claiming more control in and around this region than this map is then showing. Then let's have a look at the Rybar in this region and see what then they are saying. So this is Sinkivka here as well. Kalinove here, Liman Pershini here. Now, there are two Limans. This is the north one, this Pershihi one, not Liman as we spoke of just before. That the Rybar is saying that they are holding ground right up to where this river waterway is here as well, and right up near Sinkivka. So very close to where this claimed ground control is here, but not as far south as the ISW is saying. And if we go back then to the default map, Breitbart is saying that they are much further to the west than the deep state map here is showing. So I think it is interesting just to line those up. Legends, thank you for your support again. Really appreciate you watching through this. This one I had a lot of stop and starts because I was getting my voice was hurting a little bit. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it. If you'd like to support me, links below, but never feel obliged. Thank you. Bye-bye.